Okay. There we go. We should be live. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Hi.
Welcome to the Wundersmith Liveshow. We're here to discuss Wundersmith by Jessica Townsend. And this is the second book that we're reading for Wander Along. And we'll have all of the hosts introduce themselves. So I'll just go first. I'm Olivia Savannah from Olivia's Catastrophe.
Oh, hi. My name is Britt from Basically Britt.
Hi, my name is Kara. I'm from Wild Book Garden.
Hello, I'm Leonie and I'm from the Book Leo.
And I'm Sabine from Sabine's Book Nook.
And, well, there she goes. She's back again. Thank you for joining us. We're going to start off with some non-spoilery, just quick thoughts, and then we will go into spoilers with some fun questions before digging deeper into the book and looking a bit more closely. So I think the first thing that I would like to ask you all is, what was your rating and just your non-spoilery opinion of the book? Was it better than the first book? Yeah.
I gave it a 4.5 out of 5 stars. And the first one I actually gave 5 stars, so it was a little bit less exciting for me, even though it was still absolutely amazing. I felt so into the world and I could visualize everything in my head and it felt so just magical. And I just love the characters so much, and that we got to see some more of the characters in the first book, and we also met some new characters that I just absolutely love. So it was a very brilliant read. I'm so happy I could join in this because it finally made me read the second book. I'm so happy I did. But I enjoyed it a little less than the first one.
Similarly to Britt, I was so excited to be asked, and it was great because I had also been putting off reading the second book for a long time. I gave it a 3 stars, and the first one I gave a 3.5 or 3.75. I'm one of those annoying people who uses quarter stars sometimes. But I did like it. I think there were some things I liked more about this one. I was definitely more compelled to keep reading this one. I was thinking about it when I wasn't reading it. I wanted to know how things would turn out. But I think there were more things that frustrated me about it. Some of those are personal preference, and some of those we'll, I'm sure, get into with other elements of the story. But I did like it. But similarly to Brett, I liked it less than the first book.
Okay, yeah, so I gave it 4 stars, which is the same as I gave the first book. I really enjoyed both books equally. I think the difference is that I listened to Wundersmith on audiobook, whereas I read the physical book for Nevermore, so that's always a little bit different. But yeah, they're just really they're kind of books that I don't really read very critically, so I just really enjoyed the ride for both books.
Yes. I think Olivia and I are on the same page, and then Britt and Cara are on the same page because I enjoyed Wundersmith, I think, more than Nevermore. And I gave it, I think, a 4.25 out of 5 stars. I also do quarterly ratings. Because I think in my head of on a scale from 1 to 10, what would I give it? And then just 1 to 2, blah, blah. But I really enjoyed it. I think I enjoyed the school setting a lot, and the element of mystery. I really like that, and that push it got me quicker through the book than the first one, even though I do also really like trials, but I really enjoyed it.
That's great. Yeah, I'm pretty much the same as Sabine. I gave this one 4 stars and I rated the previous one 3 stars. And I feel I know it's not possible, but everything that I complained about in the first book, she just went and fixed it with this book. So I just enjoyed it a lot more, and I like the setting. I like the characters a lot. And one of my main complaints with the first book was that it lacked deeper themes, but I feel like this one had a bigger thematic element to it. So I really enjoyed this one a bit more. But we've got quite a mix here of people who liked it less, someone who liked it the same amount, and some people who liked it more, which makes for interesting discussion.
We planned it perfectly.
Yes. We can see. Eleanor liked it as much as the first book. Maybe a bit more. Both of them 4 stars, but enjoyed this one a bit more, especially the world. Yeah, definitely agree with that.
I agree with that as well.
Definitely. at the school. I loved just learning about the lessons that they had. Brilliant.
So
I
much
just love like books that are set in a school, especially with lessons that we don't have, you know?
Yeah,
I
magic.
wish we could follow them.
Yeah, things that don't exist.
Yeah, so I think we're going to go into spoilers straight away just so that we have freedom of discussion. So if you haven't read the book and you still want to read the second book, now's your time to leave. Thank you for joining us. And I think we'll start with just some lighthearted, fun questions. So if I look down, I'm looking at notes. The first one I have to ask you is, if you could make your own Trixie Lane, what would be its trick?
Oh,
What?
Tricky question.
you should have like sent me these questions beforehand, then I could have come up with a really cool thing.
I already immediately forgot everything that the Trixie Lanes did in the book.
Maybe. Oh,
I
It
think
can be
I
something
like-
nice. It doesn't have to be
I
a...
really like swimming, and maybe you would have to go through like an underwater parkour and like see all these sea creatures around you. Just have fun, I guess.
Aquarium.
I know one. You have to like jump on sunflowers, and then they get higher and like more difficult to jump through.
I think I would want mine to be like a low gravity thing. So you could like jump and walk like you're on the moon, because I've always wanted to do that, but I do not want to go to the moon. So this would be perfect.
I'm sorry, this is a little bit off topic. This is such a coincidence because I'm reading a book, Artemis, and it's about living on the moon where they have this cool gravity of walking on the moon.
Yeah.
Okay, back to Wundersmith.
I also wanted to like hop on a little sidetrack. There's like this Belgian museum, Metropolis, I think, and they have this thing. It's like all about science, and you can go into a seat and you can kind of hop as if you're in space. So it's kind of Cars Trixie Lane.
That's so cool.
That's cool.
I want to
I
go
can achieve my dream. Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing. I loved reading about the Trixie Lanes.
Yes.
So fun.
Olivia, do you have one yourself?
I think I would like it to be like you're going through a field in summer, and I think it would just be a nice Trixie Lane. If it was going to be mean, it could get hotter and hotter, but then I feel like that's not a nice thing to do. So. Leonie, do you have one?
Oh, it's so difficult. Like, I also thought about like a forest or something.
Ooh.
Where like maybe the ground would just stop existing and you'd have to like fly through everything. Or hop on the trees.
Yep.
Maybe
yes,
swing
please.
on the vines.
Tarzan.
You can see some Trixie Lanes.
I love this one.
You walk down and have to get past the village secretly unlock it.
Oh god.
Amazing.
Turns your feet into
I like that one.
I would not survive. I can't roller skate.
No.
I haven't done it in years, so I probably.
I'm also really like scared of things very quickly. Like when I go ice skating, I'm already like.
Yeah.
Always the first few like steps on the ice are just so scary.
Mhm.
Yeah, the temperature one.
It get hotter or colder. If it got colder, I would just turn around and leave. I wouldn't go.
Yep.
I was gonna say I can stand the heat better than the cold. Like cold,
Mhm.
not up.
Same.
But it's just like
Not me.
it's just a short,
That's
walk, but still. No,
That's
thank you. Or like in
Okay.
the rain just gets crazier and crazier and crazier.
Oh my gosh, you get soaked. Unless you have your brolly with you.
True.
Yeah.
Of course, they have it.
Okay, I think the next question would be, if you went to Homer's school, and Homer is Hawthorne's brother, they have a single day where they can speak all year. So what day would you choose as your speaking day if you had to be silent all year?
I speak way too much.
Hmm.
I could never.
Yeah.
I would not choose the holidays because I'd like to just enjoy my silent time during the holidays.
Ah,
Oh, I was exactly thinking about Christmas, so that I
yeah, me too.
Yeah, me
really
too.
talk to my family on Christmas.
You have like a table with all of your friends and family, and then you can finally like talk.
Well, I don't really
Like-
celebrate Christmas, so
Yeah.
My
for me, it's
first
easy.
my first thought was like my birthday, but not in like a nice way, and like I could save up all the things I was mad about and go tell people, which is like I'm not a confrontational person, but I have a feeling if I couldn't speak for a year, I would become a confrontational person. I just like save up all my like frustration. And that's how I
Oh,
celebrate
wow.
my birthday.
And
Yeah.
Olivia, what about you?
I think also Christmas Day, just because I don't want to speak on my birthday because then like I wouldn't have to say all the awkward like thank yous or like what do you think?
Oh.
See?
Read it.
So maybe just Christmas because it's another day when there's a lot of people.
You could just
That's
be
a
like
good point.
on your birthday, just like
Mhm.
Did you end up choosing a day, Sabine?
I can't choose. I don't have like a day where I'm like, oh, I have to talk on that day.
During a big booktube meetup, then you
Yes.
can call.
Oh yeah.
That would be a good one.
There we go.
But when that happens, we don't know.
Hopefully so.
Let's see. We have some more votes for Christmas Day.
And the next one is so cute.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Oh, that is
I love
lovely.
that. Mhm.
We're only thinking about ourselves.
Yeah.
Our birthday in the head. It's like my mom's birthday.
Okay. Another question. So, if you had to host an event or a stall at the Nevermore Bazaar, what would you host?
Coffee, barista.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I would have a secondhand bookstore next to it, like a bookstall.
Yes.
And then they can
Oh,
hang out
yes.
at your coffee shop and go book shopping at mine.
Britt and I have like a backup plan. Like if we cannot find a job in 10 years or something, we will start like a book and coffee shop together.
Yep.
That's the dream.
Oh my god, it
I
really
would
is
go
a dream.
there. I would visit every day.
I know.
It'll be like your workplace.
Ooh.
Amazing. Oh, I'm kind of hoping that we're going to fail in life so we can do that. But
Let's fail together.
yeah.
Yeah, I would do coffee, but I don't know about you guys. Like, what would you have?
I would have a little shop stand where you can buy stars and little moons that you can take home and put in your book.
I want that.
That sounds so lovely.
I think I would want mine to be something. I think didn't they talk about one where it's like there's costumes involved or something? It's like I would want it to be like that, but like you put the costume on and it lets you do something. Like things that you normally would have to like train for. I don't know, like you put on a ballerina tutu and you're a prima ballerina or something.
I love that. Or you put like
that's
a
so
painting,
cool.
like a painting something, and then suddenly you're Picasso or whatever.
Yes. And like, wouldn't that be cool to experience that level of talent for a minute? Like,
I
Oh, wow.
love that.
I
What
love
would you
it.
like? What kind of costume would you like to put on?
I think probably the ballet one, because like when I was younger, I wanted to be a ballerina, and it's still like always something that I think about a lot, even though I do not have the training for it whatsoever. So I'd want to do that.
Cool. And what about the rest? I want to know. What's like a talent you want to have?
I think I would put on like a musician outfit because I love to sing well. Like I sing all the time, just not well. So it'd be nice to sing one and something nice would come out.
I would love that
I was
too.
thinking about like a Beyonce costume. Yes,
Oh yes,
please.
please.
Oh,
Mhm.
oh my god. I don't know what I'd want my talent to be. I would like to be fluent in like so many languages. So
Ooh.
That would be cool.
maybe if a costume could make me do that, that would be great.
That'd be really cool.
Do you have a costume choice, Leonie?
Well, I think I would also would love to be able to sing, or like be able to, be an opera singer.
Oh,
That would be really cool.
That'd
Like
be
just to feel how that feels if you sing like that.
It's impressive. Not a lot of people can do that.
Mhm.
We have another guest for Kara's shop. I've always wanted to play the piano.
Love
Yes.
that. Be like a Mozart costume.
Mm-hmm. Okay, one more fun question, which is, which class would you be most interested in the Wondrous School?
Oh.
I feel like you could make up anything right now and it'd be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
I
I
should have
love
taken
the
notes.
class with I can't really remember too many classes, but the one that I loved just reading about was the one with the big bridge
Miniature?
and then the miniature city, because it
Oh,
reminded me of
Maduro
yeah Maduro.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's like
If
for
you-
people who don't know,
yeah.
it's like it's a not a theme park. It's like an outside museum in which they basically display the Netherlands in miniature form, and like you can walk through it. That's all.
And the one thing I can always remember is you have this sort of candy factory, and then you put 10 cents in this machine, and then a little truck will come out of the factory with a little chocolate bar on it.
Oh my
God, you could grab it.
That's cute.
I don't remember that.
I don't know if they still do it, but that was absolutely brilliant.
I just love everything miniature. I'd always
Yep.
kind of like have a feeling as if little people would be walking through it, just like it was described indeed in like Wundersmith, that like all these miniature people were walking around, and that was what I had in mind with like Maduro Dam,
Yep.
or when I saw something in miniature, it was like, oh my god, people are living here.
This is their life.
Yes, but the class, I don't know. I like the description of that as well, of like that whole map situation. That definitely stuck with me the most. And
Yeah.
also,
Yeah.
featured
I think
in
that's
this
also the one we get the
class,
most
but-
detail on.
Yeah.
In the
Yeah.
I don't
book.
really remember any of the other classes.
Yeah.
Well,
History.
Wasn't very accurate history.
No.
Yeah. I think I'd be interested in, I mean, they don't say what the class is, but I want to go into whatever Lambeth goes into for telling the future. I think it'd be an interesting
Yeah.
class.
Yeah.
I thought the dragon riding class was really cool, but I know that I would be way too scared to do it.
Yeah.
But I would like to watch other people do it.
Imagine.
I think, like Jasmine said, I'd be interested in the dragon language class. And I feel like, because that'd just be so cool. It's like you get to like talk to a whole nother group of like beings who most people don't talk to. That would be so interesting. Yeah, I was trying to look through my book to see some of the classes they talked about, but like that was one of the things that I like wanted more from, is like I like a magical school setting, but we barely see any of the classes. And I know that it's like a plot point, but it's also like, I feel like this is not a magical school, or it's like a magical school that we're not allowed in.
Yeah, that is true. I'm just going to quickly let you see that.
What would
We
that
should-
sound like?
They have these sentences in the book, right? And I was
Yeah.
kind of like saying them out loud, like, how would you pronounce this? But of course you'll never know. Just
No.
what if? Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're going to go deeper into some more deeper things. And one of the things I actually wanted to talk about was whether you find it fair that some students can't go everywhere in the school, which is kind of bridging off of what Kara said, because only students from the arcane arts can go to that section. And if you're mundane, you have to stay above. And I feel like even though, you know, the Wonder Society is a group thing, it seems a bit decisive. And I wanted to know what you guys thought of the school and some of the separation that they do and such.
Yes, I would be so frustrated if I would be a student of the mundane arts and you'd be denied access to 3 levels. Like, they don't even, okay, like if you can't participate in certain things, like I can see that apparently certain people in this society get to like study other things more than others, but like at least let me see it and like experience it from a distance, I guess. I mean, like, everyone has their own specializations in this society, but I would be so frustrated.
If it took so much effort to actually get in and do all of the trials, and you'd be like, yes, I'm in, and then you still can't do and like follow all the classes.
Yeah.
I kind of got the impression that like the arcane arts were kind of seen as more like
Special.
that is more special, yeah.
Like higher up in
More
the
value,
like
yeah.
elite, sort of.
Higher on the ladder.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah,
Wondrous
and I-
Society already is like a very elite society that like most of the
Yeah.
people will never get to know about. So then it's not really a surprise that within that society there's even more hierarchy.
Mhm.
Yeah, I thought the same thing, and I know that it's very common in like magical school settings. It's like there's usually some kind of hierarchy like this, and like obviously not everybody has to take every class because like I said, there's like specialized abilities. But yeah, I thought it was weird because they're sometimes they're so focused on like how tight knit everybody needs to be. You know, it's like this is your cohort or your unit, and like you're always there for them. And it's weird to me that they barely spend any time together. Like they're there on the train together and they have that one class together, but everything else is kind of like you get separated out based on your abilities. And I just feel like it would maybe, yeah, like I feel like it would maybe contribute to more of that, I don't know, fellow feeling, if they could actually be in some classes together, or maybe even like just observe some of the classes. Like Morrigan at one point watches Hawthorne dragon riding, which is cool. So I don't know. I felt like it was very structured in ways that I think kind of went against some of the things that they were saying.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about it like that, but that's just me not reading super critically.
Okay. Especially if it's like a middle grade, it's always just like, oh, fun, oh, no, cute.
Yeah, but that's like why I like having these types of live shows, because then you can like learn from like new different perspectives that you would have like not thought about yourself. And like Cara, that you were saying that right now, I'm just like, oh my god, yes. Like, I didn't even like notice that, but indeed, like you're a group, but it doesn't feel that way sometimes, I guess.
Yeah, and I also read a lot of middle grade, so it might be that like that's part of why I'm kind of like nitpicky about some of these things, but because I love middle grade and I read a ton of it. So
There's somebody who says that they think the separation might be a safety precaution, and I can see that a bit because it does sound like some of the things are dangerous, but it also sounds like some of the things that the mundane students do are dangerous. I feel like any weapons things, they're mundane, right?
I think so.
yeah,
And
weird.
and the most dangerous, student that we see is the one who was using a weapon when they shouldn't be.
Mm-hmm.
Bit unfair
Yeah.
considering there's so much
Yeah.
magic. Yeah. Or maybe just even understanding magic. Because, for example, they have Cadence's class where they understand her mesmerist skills, even if they won't be able to do it themselves.
True.
Some of the most important people won't have the same interests. So units are close, but everyone is different, and it's good. That could be a positive.
Yeah, but here I do feel like it felt a little bit more like mundane and then arcane, and not like mundane and arcane, like next to each other, you know?
No, yeah.
Yeah,
Because
and it's hard not to read that and be like, this is gonna cause problems down the road. Mark my words. Like,
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's fair. And it did cause problems for what was his name? Oh my goodness, I've already forgotten his
I have
name.
some thoughts on that.
What are your thoughts? Go for it.
I was not a fan of that twist. I think that like the motivation does make sense. Like I know that that's like a common thing, that kind of power seeking. But I feel like maybe it should have been set up a little bit more, because it seemed very neat and symmetrical that like, oh, the professor who was horrible to her is the good guy, and the one who was nice to her is the bad guy. But this also might be like a personal preference thing, because I've read this a few times. Like I feel like I'm reading it more in books where the twist is supposed to be shocking more than it's supposed to make sense with the story. And like when Mildmay, I'm not sure if I was saying his name right. When he's like explaining to Morrigan what he did and that he's the bad guy, he even says at one point, I think he says it doesn't make sense, or I can't explain it. And I was like, yeah, it kind of
Like,
is.
shock
Yeah.
factor.
But,
Why did it happen? Who knows?
Yeah, and I don't
just
know,
did it
like,
for the fun.
right, and I think like it is supposed to be like an exciting twist, and I get that, but there was like part of me that was grumpy about it because it's like,
No, I totally
how
get that because I think it was a very effective twist because I remember listening to that and I was so angry at Mom May because I was like, I liked you and you were my favorite teacher, and so I was so disappointed in him. So it did get like the correct reaction from me, but then later I started thinking, was this foreshadowed? Not at all. This really came completely out of nowhere, and I
and especially
don't really
because
appreciate that with plot twists.
right, me too. It's like I would rather, like, I think it's cool when you figure it out like right before the character does, because then it's like, oh my gosh, you have that like anticipation. But I was thinking about it, and isn't there a conversation between them early on where it kind of seems like he's encouraging her that like the mundanes are still important and things like that? And I get that was supposed to, like, I get that's supposed to throw us off the trail, but I'm like, I think that was actually like, that scene works better if he means it, you know? Like,
I don't know if like he explained
I
kind of like the parts of what the mundane part of the school was and what the arcane part was, because they did have like some description of like the arcane cannot like live without the mundane, and the arcane also does something, but he did like say that he was kind of like a misfit, but I don't think like someone describing themselves as a misfit would give me immediate like alarm bells.
Right. You're gonna betray everyone.
Misfits. Woo!
Yeah.
No, like, yeah, that didn't make me go like, oh. I was totally, I did not know who was helping, oh, what's his name again? The bad guy?
Ezra Squall.
Oh yeah, Squall.
But I was more, I thought it was really well worked out who the blackmailer was of the letters, because I don't know if I'm just very naive or like if I don't watch out for things enough, because I was totally like, who is this? Who is sending these letters? And then it was the school. And like, a loyalty. And I was like,
actually
clever.
The emotional
I immediately thought that it was a test.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't. Because I never think too much. I try to never really think too much ahead or something when I'm reading books. But on the one hand, I like being so surprised by things because I don't necessarily try to think everything through whilst I'm reading it. But on the other hand, I think I'm going to try to just speculate a bit more. You know?
Yeah, I also usually don't. It's just this time I don't know. I think I've seen it before in other stories, so I immediately was like, this is gonna be that kind of story, isn't it?
I have to admit that for me, the whole like Mildmay plot twist, I didn't think that was the plot twist. Like when that happened, I just accepted it because I didn't really care who was the person giving the information. I was more caught up in the plot with Ezra Squall and his involvement, and I was like, oh my gosh, he was involved the whole time. Like that was the plot twist for me. And then also who was doing the blackmailing, because I was trying to think about that one all the way through. When that was revealed, I was like, well, that's the other plot twist. So I kind of didn't even think about the Mildmay plotline too much. It's just the subplot line, but maybe that was the main one.
I also like the thing that the fact that it was a test was one of the things I did not guess. So when that happened, I was like, oh, that's a lot of like emotional torture to put your kids through, but okay. Like, I mean, it worked. Like I can't argue with their results. My initial thought, which maybe I was like approaching this as the wrong kind of like, I don't know, friendship story. But when they got the first one, I was like, you never give in to the blackmailers. Like, don't. Like, because I thought it was going to get worse if they did go along with it. So this whole time I was really stressed because they kept like, I don't know. I thought there would maybe have been something else they could do to try and catch the person instead of like continuing to go along with it. But it ended up making sense. So.
You have a question. But does anyone else feel like Ezra's score might turn good by the end? I feel like Morgan might change him.
I haven't thought about that
I don't know.
actually. Again,
He
one of
could
those
have a
things that I
redemption.
don't think about. Yeah, would
I
be
mean,
cool,
they
though.
do. He does keep talking about how there's actually, like a bigger villain. So maybe in the third book, like a bigger villain is going to be revealed, and then Ezra Squall might get a little bit of a redemption arc. Maybe.
That's what I was.
I don't
That's what
know.
I was wondering about too. When we got to that part, and he's like, he's sort of saying we have to team up against this villain who's worse than me. I'm
Yeah.
like, that's like a classic setup. I wonder if
Yeah.
I wonder if that's gonna pan out. But yeah.
Mhm.
And the
I don't know.
title of the third book is Hollowpox, which makes me think that it's going to be a problem that no one can really blame someone for, maybe, and
Yeah.
therefore we might need teamwork from people they wouldn't expect teamwork from.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought as well.
I'm very
Yeah,
curious to see it though, but I do feel like Ezra Squall is not like completely bad, maybe, but I don't think he will like switch to the good side because
Yeah.
I feel like he does have his own standpoints and
Yeah.
kind of stuff like that, like his own ideas, and I don't think he will like completely deviate from that, but I don't think he's like a 100% bad guy, but I feel like really well written bad guys are not like 100%.
Exactly.
I
Yeah,
love
what
that.
are your guys' opinions on Ezra Squall as a villain?
I don't know him too well yet, and like I keep on forgetting what his motive is, and like
Yeah.
There was just so much
Why are you here again?
that I kind of exactly when he came back into the book and stuff, I was like, oh yeah, okay, another thing. There were so many things happening and so many
like I
different
guess
characters.
his motive is that he like wants to rule over Nevermore, and because he is like the master of wonder and stuff like that. I think that's his motive. I don't know if it's dumb that I'm like, what is his motive?
Yeah, and
now that you say it, I'm like, what is his motive?
Yeah, he strikes me as one of those bad guys who like. I'm like, I don't know that he's gonna turn good like all the way, but he strikes me as one of those villains who's like, you got a point about some things, because like I do think the Wonder Society needs to get over this thing with Wundersmiths. Like watching everyone hate Morgan for the entire book was a lot. And I just this is because like we've said, it's like in other stories, these things cause problems down the road, but it's just like, how do you not see that ostracizing some people in your group is going to like you're turning them into villains later on? Like why are you doing this?
They don't think that their behavior is probably the cause of bad Wundersmiths.
And like I know that they're also responsible for their own actions, but like the way they treat them could either help that or hurt that. So
yes, indeed.
I agree that Ezra's motives are very vague. Sorry, go ahead, Olivia.
I was gonna say I definitely agree on the way that they taught Morgan and the way that they treated Morgan. I feel like even when they decided, we're gonna teach Morgan and everything, even the loyalty test was so slated for Morgan to suffer because of it. I was like, she just gets the worst slice of life, like judging from the first book and how she felt about herself, and then she's finally feeling comfortable with herself a bit, and then you just throw her in this, and I was like, wow, she's really getting the worst of the worst here.
And her power is one that if she doesn't use it, she could die, and nobody's teaching her how to use it. I have questions.
I really liked all the scenes with Ezra Squall in them. I really like the trope of the main character is somehow intrinsically bound to the villain. Like they're similar in certain ways. So I'm actually kind of disappointed that Murgatroyd is gonna teach Morgan to do her Wundersmith things, because I was like, yeah, I want her to learn all these things from Ezra, and it's gonna be like really cool.
Yeah. True. Maybe that will come in book 3. Like they'll have secret meetings again.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm sure. Yeah, because that's happened in both of them, in both books so far.
Yeah, both books, and I really liked all those scenes.
True.
And I really also liked with the education, how it brought to the table the themes of like education bias and who's telling history.
Yes.
I think
Mhm.
that's such an important thing for children as they're going through the education system, because
Yeah.
it's really hard to recognize it while you're in the middle of it. And I appreciated that the book kind of brought that to the table a bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was one of my favorites, like little themes that they put in there as well.
Yeah,
Me too.
big parts of history are like I haven't had history for a long time, but like if I can remember from
Same.
like my how'd you call that? Not high school, but then below that, primary school.
Middle. Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I cannot remember, for instance, learning about women in history. I can, for instance,
Same.
not remember learning anything about colonism. Is that how you pronounce it?
Colonialism.
Colonialism. I'm sorry. And
Yeah.
slavery, for instance. I don't remember getting taught that in like either primary school or high school. And I feel like if they're telling history from one side view, if I can say it like that. And yeah, you can definitely see that with the professor and like the book that he wrote.
Yeah.
Just like telling bits of history to make it sound more bad, or like in maybe the Dutch history case, more wonderful. Like, how amazing is the Netherlands? Such an amazing country. No flaws whatsoever.
Yeah, someone says history narratives are controlled by those in power, and
Yes.
that's definitely the case.
Yep.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And
I
that
think
was
that's
so
a
sad to see.
really cool thing to put in a middle grade book.
Yes.
Sorry.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say that it was really sad to see the effect of that partial view of history, like what it had on Morgan, because she was constantly doubting herself and the history and getting all of these mixed messages from people like Wundersmiths are bad. No, actually they also do good things, and Morgan herself is like in the middle.
Yeah, and she's like so young, so it must be so much to process for her.
Yeah. It definitely made me think of like discrimination themes. They literally just discriminated against her because of who she is, and there's nothing she can do about it, and it's always very sad to read.
Yeah, it reminds me, because like they everyone treats her like she's dangerous too, and it reminds me of like how when teachers and other adults treat kids like they're problem students, they like create the problem. It's like it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy of like a teacher thinks that they're not as smart, so they don't give them as good of grades and they don't give them help, and then the kid actually does end up doing worse on tests because they don't have the help they need. And it's
definitely deeper themes. It's like, what is the cause of something? Like, is that person actually that, or is that person that because you told them that they were that? That's pretty mind twisting, and
Yeah. And also thinking of deeper themes, I have to say, I was reading the book and I was like, this book is quite darker. Like, it's a lot darker than the first book. I was thinking about the end of the museum and how most of the people just died that were in the museum. I was like, that is actually quite dark if you think about it. And it what made me think about like punishment, and we get people who get away with it, but then we just get people who die. And I don't know, I was just thinking about that ending, like, wow, it was quite, she really went for it.
Yeah, I was very thrown by the magical human trafficking subplot. Like,
oh my god.
I mean,
it's book.
Like and I think actually one of the things that I know that the first book had some dark elements too, especially at the beginning when like poor Morrigan is just being abused by her family. But one of the things I feel like in this one that kind of kept me from fully loving it is I feel like the balance was off between the fun, whimsical stuff and the dark stuff. And I don't mean that you can't have both, because some of my favorite middle grades are ones that have both, but it didn't feel like, it felt like the story was dark or light depending on what the plot needed,
like
rather than
together maybe.
Yeah, like rather than like Morgan realizing that this fun, whimsical stuff has darker things underneath it. I think we got more of that at the end for sure, so probably that's going to happen more in later books. But I was getting like whiplash with some of this. It's like, oh, they're like running through this fun little magical market, and then it's like somebody's going to skin a magical cat who's actually a person, and I was like, oh my god, what? Like,
I think that a good example was that of her running into, I think again, a Trixie.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
all of a sudden there were these bones men behind
Yeah.
her. So like
Yeah.
it's like from a magical assignment that they had to do, like this, there was a dead person behind her.
Yeah.
So it like all of a sudden it switched from like a scene maybe that was a
Yeah.
little bit too like cold turkey like.
Yeah, and I think I don't feel like I know how to explain what it is about this one where the tone didn't work for me, but it's like it didn't feel necessarily intentional, like it was supposed to throw off balance. I just was kind of reading the book the whole time and I'm like, I don't understand how this is all one city. It's like, so you're telling me that you like travel on these cute little umbrellas, but also you do class assignments where people have died? Like, and I know that happens in like middle grade fantasy adventure books all the time, but it was just something about the way that, maybe it was the way that the characters were reacting to it that didn't ring true to me. I don't know if any of that made sense.
I hadn't really thought about that.
I think to me, I didn't mind actually. I quite liked that it went back and forwards because for me, one of the things that I wrote was like, oh, this seems like a good balance, at least for me, of the whimsical stuff, but also the more grounded things. I think maybe because in Nevermore, I just struggled with it all being quite whimsical with the lack of explanation. I felt like we got some familiar whimsical things, like the Bazaar had been mentioned in the previous book and Hollow Mass had been mentioned in the previous books. I was like, okay, these things are happening. I understand what's happening with them. So I can enjoy them for what they are, but still be focused on the darker things. So I think that's where the balance worked for me, but I also completely understand why it seemed a bit whiplashy going back and forwards as well.
Yeah, I kind of had the same experience as you, Olivia. I liked that I kind of get a bit of both.
It kind of kept it exciting, you know. There was always just something happening.
Yeah, so I was definitely always. That's a good question. Do you think we'll learn anything else about Morrigan's mum? They said that she died, but do you think they'll just leave it there?
I haven't really thought about that.
It is a nice setup for like an extra plot, I guess, at some point.
Yeah.
But like Britt said, it hasn't really crossed my mind in this one. I was like, oh my god,
Yeah.
wait, where was her mom again? Like,
Yeah.
she died, but like I forgot that already. That crossed my mind.
My memory is like not good when it comes to books.
No, that's okay. Like, do you want to feel better about your memory, Britt? I literally forgot Hawthorne was a character when I started this book. I forgot her best friend. Like, they're talking about Hawthorne on the train. I'm like, who's this Hawthorne kid? And it's like her best friend. She like, was bonding with in the first book. Sorry, Hawthorne.
I love Hawthorne. He's like one of my favorite characters. I love that friendship so much. And I love Hawthorne's. That's such a weird name. Hawthorne. His family. I like his family a lot.
Yeah.
When they went to the
super
bar.
interested in Cadence too. She was one of my favorite parts of the first book. I'm very intrigued. I'm excited that
this one.
Sorry, what?
She definitely got a little bit of a redemption arc there.
Yeah.
She was kind of like evil in the first book. Yeah. And now they're like pretty good friends. I really like that.
Yeah, I'm excited that they're going to be in the same part of the school now, so we're probably going to see more of her. So.
And I also really liked Lambeth's character. I liked how she was kind of distracted the whole time, but she knew what was going on. I just find her very interesting that she can see ahead and she kind of lives in the ahead world rather than being grounded. And I'm curious to see more about her.
Yeah, I think her plot reveal made a lot of sense. Like I liked that twist. I thought it was like very effective. And when they got the first blackmail, though, I remember thinking like, how do we know that it's Morrigan's secret that they're talking about? Because I thought it would maybe be. I think they mentioned that it was Lambeth who had been. She also was from the Winter Sea Republic or something. I think we knew that earlier on. And I was like, what if that's what they're talking about? And it like kind of was, but kind of wasn't. So I liked that.
No, I also did think about that. I just immediately thought, oh, that's probably just Morgan's secret.
Same.
I just dive into these books without like me being like, Sabine, watch out for things. You need to be a mastermind. I'm just like, oh.
That's why I'm so surprised by plot twists and stuff. Because it never crosses my mind, or like hardly ever.
Yeah. Well, usually with like these kind of like fantastical, fun middle grade books, I'm just like, okay, mind blank, no thoughts, head empty, just fun.
Exactly.
I just have that basically with almost all the books that I read. Like it's not only middle grade. It's just like I just read it because I can never figure out. Like if I read a murder mystery book, I can never guess who did it. Like,
but also I kind of don't. I kind of
Yeah.
don't want to guess it because I love being so surprised by plot twists.
Yeah.
Sabine,
It
you're
kind
just
of
here to
depends
have a
on the
good
book
time.
for me.
Yeah, true.
What did you say, Kara?
I said, Sabine, you're just here to have a good time. You're just like,
I feel you, Sabine.
Yeah, I wanted to mention, like, because we were talking about characters. From the first book, I was so interested to learn more about some of the hotel characters. Like, I understood we were going to go into the school more, but I feel like I liked Jupiter less and less as the course of this book went over because he was so absent. But
Yeah.
simultaneously, I feel like we learn that he's also kind of learning how to be a parent figure because at the end he was like, oh, I've been pushing you to the side so much and just busy with work and stuff, so I feel like he's also developing. But I was also like, I wanted more Finestra. I wanted a bit more Jupiter.
Yeah, same.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I was also expecting
And
there to be some kind of little plot twist or plot development explaining why Jupiter had to go away so often. I thought we would get some kind of reveal about something that was going on, but he was just written out of the story
Yeah.
multiple times.
Yeah. And just like plot wise, there were so many times when Morgan couldn't have an important conversation because he just wasn't there. And yeah, it's like I like that he apologized at the end, but I'm like, you really kind of left her on her own during this horrible school year when she was being bullied. Like, which I mean, he didn't know about all of that. But yeah, I had more issues with Jupiter this time around. Like he redeemed himself a little at the end, but I was like, you need to do better.
I really like the banter between like what was his name again? Homer, the Hawthorne's brother. Just a tiny moment at the bazaar when they were talking and when he was there. He was so funny. I love him.
It wasn't that the brother who had like the school.
He wrote things down like
oh
the thing
yeah.
where he was like,
that was one funny thing.
He wrote
What
like
was
on his thing. He wrote, "I don't belong with them."
Yeah. And there was something else, but here. And then he wrote down like, I know it's hard for you, but try not to do anything stupid. Those kind of things.
Yeah, but that to me is also just like the fun thing about these books. Like they're so full of little fun, cute moments like this, or little magical moments, and it just makes me happy.
Yeah. And also with his mom, she also did something funny. I should tab like on color instead of just doing random colors everywhere.
I thought you had like a really cool system, all these different colors.
Not anymore. I started with red because I wanted it to match the cover, and then I ran out of red, so now it's a complete mess. But I can't remember what the mom did.
Well, maybe
like
she asked
sing at one point.
Yeah, something like singing and embarrassing basically her family, and then they were like, she's not with us or something.
I believe she was asking an opinion to the older brother, like, "Hi, Homer, that's your dad and I," or something, and he was just like,
"Stop it, Mom."
I don't know exactly.
Yeah, Homer the whole time was just like,
they don't belong with me. Who are they?
Someone would love to see more of Nan, and yeah, I feel like they could be interesting characters. I feel like the hotel are definitely the found family. Some people mentioned that this book has more found family elements, and I really liked the moment when they were kind of all being distracting when she had to work at home. I was like, oh, that is
was
so
one of my favorite parts.
Yeah, that was really cute. I didn't feel the found family elements from Unit 919, but maybe because they were going through some struggles. They were going through some struggles.
And half of them
maybe
voted
it's still
against Morgan.
Because how long is this series going to be? I'm so bad. Is it like a 3-book series or?
No, I believe that Jessica Townsend, like on her Wikipedia, it says that she has like plot ideas for until book 9 or something, but I believe she has signed contracts until book 6. So.
Oh my god, this is a long series.
Mm.
I'm so
But
bad.
that's
at
gonna be
long
fun
series.
because then we're gonna kind of grow up with Morgan, right?
True. That is true.
I'm
And
excited for that.
because
yeah.
not all the books are released yet. Otherwise, I'd be too intimidated. But now only.
Yeah.
No, wait, how many books are out now? 3 or 4?
3,
Just
right?
3.
Oh, okay, 3. Yeah, then it's I can do that.
You can read the 3rd book and then feel as if you finished the series.
Exactly.
A trilogy. It's a trilogy.
Yeah, for now.
We have a question, which is, what did we think of the writing? One thing that Jasmine didn't love was that sometimes the descriptions would just meander off and lose her.
I'm so bad at describing
Yeah.
whether like
Same.
I like it or not, and like if I do, what is it that I did or didn't like. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Her writing did suck me into the story. That's my opinion.
Yeah. That's my
That's my opinion.
I don't know what else to say.
I feel you, Sabine. I always just have like, if I read a book and it just doesn't take me a lot of effort to get through pages, then I think, oh, I like this writing style, but I can't necessarily tell you why I like it. It's just it flows nicely,
I enjoyed the writing. I actually specifically paid attention to it this time because I don't remember having much of an opinion about the writing in the first book, but I enjoyed it this time. I thought her descriptions were kind of fun and clever, but I do wonder if maybe one of the issues I had with the tone of the book had to do with the writing. I hadn't thought about that until Jasmine asked that question, but I wonder if the really whimsical, fun, meandering tone of the book kind of set me up to expect something different. I don't know, but I mean, I did enjoy the book. I read it quickly, so.
I had the opposite. I read it incredibly slowly. Even though it was a middle grade, I thought I was going to race through it. That did not happen. It took me a while. It took me more than a week. And I did like the writing style. Oh, I usually read middle grade a bit faster than this one. Maybe it took me 2 weeks. But yeah, I think the writing style was good. I don't know why I read it slower, but
I read the first one really slow, so I feel you.
But I did fly through this one in contrast to the first one because I think the mystery element, I just really liked it. But I just wanted to say something else that Olivia just said, but now mine is blank. Oh, well, no, okay. I was going to say with certain middle grade books, like the font is really big. And with this one, I feel like it's just regular font. So, and the books are pretty big. Like the 3rd book is 470 pages almost. So I read it just as quickly as I think maybe just a young adult novel, I think. Maybe a little quicker because I do find everything really entertaining. But I'm sorry for interrupting your story, Olivia.
No, I was just going to say, I think that maybe the first book, it had markers that I was expecting, like first trial, second trial, third trial, and then that means I get ready for those and read to them. Whereas this one, the plot was much more unpredictable, and therefore I was just reading to experience it more. Yeah, maybe that was the case.
Yeah.
I did like that the chapters are not really short or really long, but they're the perfect sort of length to just read a chapter here and there. So I could always think, okay, I'm just going to finish this chapter and then I'm going to sleep,
Yeah.
Sorry if you can hear the creaking from the desk. Every time it happens.
It's okay.
I feel like
you're just
I feel
dying
like
inside. I'm sorry.
I think one of the reasons that I read this one so quickly is because I was stressed by some of it. It's I kept wanting to get to a point where we would fix something, and then we'd fix something, and something else terrible would happen, and I'm like, oh no, now I have to keep going. But then sometimes we'd get to something that was really bad, and I'm like, I don't feel like reading this right now. I'm going to bed.
That's fair. I don't think I have too many more discussion points.
What are like
Well-
random little things, like details that you really liked in the book?
I think my favorite random little detail had to be the hotel moment because I just found that was the cutest thing. Was there anything else? I'm not sure. Does anybody have anything else?
I like when they were at the bazaar and then they saw that sort of magical sign, you know, with the changing words and stuff, and that Morgan was really interested in how that worked, and she was looking for like where it
Yeah.
happened. And I thought that is me, because I always want to find out all the little details. For example, in films, I always like to see everything, like how something happens or where something happens. So I really like that she was really looking when, like, how do the words change and who's working behind the scenes.
I thought the character of Israfel was super interesting.
Mm.
Like, he wasn't in it very much, but like this idea of what the angels, or the celestial beings, but they call them angels, what their song can do is super interesting, and like how they're going to be involved in the plot. And like we have some indications that like that thing they all signed for Morgan is like really bad. So I was just very intrigued by all the scenes around them.
And that also, by the way, that singing is really also, again, quite a dark theme of drugs and addiction.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that was like right at the beginning of the book. Like it started there. So I was like, okay. But it is,
But
again,
also-
good to like have that in a book. I think like this book had some great deeper themes, and like maybe as a kid you wouldn't necessarily think like, oh, drug addiction, alcohol addiction.
When
Israel singing.
When Morgan was gonna listen, I was like screaming at her. I was like, don't be stupid. And thank God Jupiter showed up, because I'm like, Morgan, why would you do this?
I would do that. I would be like, I just want to hear what
because they're so curious.
Yeah, but I also liked how at the end he was like merciful to the people who were inside. Like in the beginning, we're introduced to that gift, and it's like it's a bad thing, or it can be used in a bad way. And then at the end, he kind of used it for a positive force.
As mercy. Yeah.
True.
Leonie, did you have a nice moment that you enjoyed?
I don't really have a specific scene, but I really liked all the scenes where we get kind of just all these very magical things happening. So everything at like the night bazaar, all the little markets that were there, and when we get to see the good projects of the good Wundersmiths, so the theme park and like the waterfalls, really like those. And especially the theme park. I really liked that one.
When I read that, I thought, oh, I'm so happy that it's like a good thing and not a selfish human being creating that park for himself. That was so cute.
Olivia. I'm just trying to stay with like a straight face, like
it's just our house. It's just our house. Did you have a moment, Sabine, or did you say one already?
Did I? I don't think I did.
I don't think so.
But I don't know. I like the bazaar bizarre to call it, like the market, and like Hawthorne taking her to like this whole candy thing, and I always like candy scenes, and like I have a big sweet tooth, and I love cakes and cookies, and just you can make me so happy with that. So I was reading that and being like, oh my god, I want to be here. So I guess that was my little moment.
I want to go to the bazaar. It sounded so cool.
It does.
Yeah, Homer said. I love that too.
I liked learning that. Oh my gosh, it was so creepy, but I quite like the idea. I don't know how they can teach so many people, but I still like that they were the same person.
Yeah, I didn't expect
thought it was
that.
really cool as well.
How many other classes are in the Wonder Society at a time? Like how many years? Because maybe it's like, I don't know, maybe they can stagger it so it works.
If they have like the Professor Onstalt, right? If they had his like time bending stopping power, but I don't think they have that.
Oh, I like this too. Wasn't that why he wore the iPad? Yeah.
He has like the same power as Jupiter, but he doesn't. It's like not fully. How do you call that? Not fully.
Developed.
Yes.
Developed. Yes.
And that's why like he has like an eye patch on to not like be like overstimulated with all these things that he cannot make sense with. But I felt like Jack was really absent in this story, so I actually
I
missed
know.
him.
I miss
It was a
him.
shame. Yeah, same. I really liked reading about him in the first book, so it was a pity that I wasn't here a lot. But he is, of course, is mostly at the hotel, right?
You
Yeah.
know, he's in like that boarding school.
Yeah, he's at
Thing.
a school for
Oh.
normal people.
Oh,
And we have a question. Which covers do you prefer? Okay. I have
which cover
this
do you have? Oh, I have the same.
I have the US one. Whoops, there you go.
Well, for this one,
yeah.
to be honest, like with
I-
Nevermore, I don't really care, but with this one, I really do not like the US one.
No, I like this color a lot.
I
Is the
like
hardcover-
I like the aesthetic of the UK ones better, but I feel like this one is a better indication of like what the story feels
Yeah.
like. I don't know.
True.
What does it have on
Oh, sorry,
it? Wait,
could you
can you
look?
show it like really close?
The globes, right? Or,
There you go.
I need to.
Oh,
So
yeah.
yeah, it's got the like guys in the car. It has the drowning woman. I don't know why there's two goat men here.
oh,
Oh,
You can see.
probably something in the book, but I can't remember what.
I can't remember either.
No,
you did that with the screen, Olivia. I was like, oh my god, wait, am I gone?
yeah, Olivia did that.
And also, wait, are the hardcovers different from our covers, or are they the same?
What do you mean?
There
the
are
US
also a third cover. I know that
Oh, is that?
the library editions that my library has like different covers as well. I think they are the hard covers. They look like the UK covers, but they have a more simplified version of it.
Okay, it's I think the one that I used for the photo of this live show because it only has like Morgan doing something magical, and then on the paperback you also have Hawthorne next to him.
Oh,
I believe.
Oh, yeah.
yeah, exactly. Or you have a little Hawthorne.
Oh, I
Yes.
just realized the shadow is the hunt.
Yeah.
I'm always
Wait.
so late to getting that the shadow is always something on a cover. Like when they do Mist, I'm like, oh, it's Mist. But it's not.
Can you
It actually means
Wait,
something.
which shadow?
can you show a close up of yours?
Oh, right. Yeah.
We can do this.
Oh yeah.
There we go. There's
Okay.
this
I love that.
thing here. That is the Hunt of Smoke and
Yeah.
Shadow.
Hunt, okay.
Yeah.
I was so confused about the goat one too.
Good.
Was it such a header? They were special agent guys. Are they the stealth? Maybe?
Oh. Oh my
I
god.
can't remember that.
I have no idea who they are.
I'm glad it was not just
Oh,
me who's like, who are these?
Who are you on the cover?
Yeah.
Alright.
I don't
trying
I
to
like
see
even if
if I
that's
can
who
find
they
that
are, I don't think they're important enough to be one of the 3 scenes on the cover.
No.
Like
Oh.
and we also have on the back corner there's like one of the wolves or the dogs or something. Like
Probably from the Hunt.
yeah, probably from the hunt, or there might have been one of those stolen moments that was about a wolf or a dog, but yeah. Interesting choices.
Well, I don't have anything more to ask. Do you guys have any more things you want to discuss? Or if somebody has some questions in the chat, we can finish off with those.
Mm. Let
I
me
wanna
see if
know-
I have something more on my
how-
notes.
How did you guys feel about Onstald, I think was his name? How did you feel about his like right at the end he dies to save everybody and he's a hero? How did you guys feel about that? I'm curious.
I did feel for him, but it was just kind of clear to me that it was like, oh, the bad teacher turns out to be the good one, and the good teacher turns
Yeah.
out to be the bad one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
That's
maybe
how
it's
I
not
felt.
even that. Like he still did really shitty things.
Yeah.
Maybe a bit of a shitty person, but he was a shitty person who did something good in the end.
Yeah. When I read it, when he like sacrificed himself, I was like, oh, that's good thing that he did that, but it's quite sad that he still did quite shitty things.
Yeah.
It's not as if I was like, oh,
And I
wow,
always-
well, I forgive him.
Yeah. And I always feel too, it's like when something like that happens, when a character who has been like bad in some way and then they do one like dramatic good thing and then die, I'm always kind of like, okay, so I guess we don't need to like engage with your ethics anymore because you're dead, you know, like
The easy way out for him. Just like, I'm going to do a good
Right.
thing and then bye.
it's like I felt something when he sacrificed himself, but it's like, I don't know, when do you go from being like a good person who's like very abrasive and mean to people sometimes to like maybe not such a good person? Because like he was, I mean, I don't know, the way he was treating Morgan in classes and the things that he was making her think about herself, like the fact that he has willingly been lying about a lot of history in a way that is going to hurt other kids. I'm kind of like, yeah, I don't know. I don't think you fixed everything on Stalled. I'm just saying.
No, true.
No,
So it's not
definitely.
as if I was like a good person, but
Yeah.
you wanted to say something as well, Olivia?
Oh, I was just thinking about like Morgan and Jupiter have a brief conversation where Morgan's like, "How am I supposed to think about this?" They like
Yeah.
the good teacher and the bad teacher, but it didn't delve too much into it. I think the book was trying to say that there's some complexity in good and bad from the people who were part of the Garci market but got away, and then I feel like characters who we thought might not be the best characters in the first book, like Cadence, kind of is slated to not be great, even though I don't think, she just seems very tough or something, and then she turns out to be so nice and just rejected
Yeah.
because she's forgotten often. I feel like it's definitely starting to get there on themes of good, bad, there's more complexity, but then sometimes it just gets a bit simplified as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
We've got some cover speculations. Pretty sure the girl in the bottom right is the one from the Stolen Moment.
Right. Yeah, the one who was drowning. Yeah.
And then the back is the dog in the glow that was dying of old age.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I found that really interesting. I think that and the brief mention that Hawthorne was remembering Cadence, I was like, those two things need more explanation, please.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It reminded me a lot of Legend of Korra season 1. If people have seen
Yeah.
it, then yeah, it's like with Avatar: The Last Airbender, like the spin-off series, and there's this really bad guy who can take away people's like airbending, waterbending, firebending skills as well. So yeah, it reminded me
I've
of that.
never watched that.
I have to say I was like not quite as conflicted as I think we were supposed to be about all the like really bad people who did not escape. Like I did feel something for them because they died in a horrible way, and I think the scene with Israfel singing to them was like a really beautifully done scene, like we talked about. But I don't know, like the way that Morgan is like talking about it, I'm like, okay, but they are murderers and they are people who were like, going to like enslave other people and like kill an entire family and like skin people and animals. Like I just feel like there's some perspective here that you're missing, Morgan. Like I don't know, like not saying that they deserved everything that came to them, but I just thought it was odd that when she was thinking about them dying right there, it was like there was no, like she had just been interacting with them and they're awful, and then she's like, oh no, we should do something.
I think there's a very skewed law system in Nevermore because they're so ready to deport Morgan like at the moment that they possibly can, and then there's talks about like Lambeth's situation as well, where it's like execution is the result, but then they can't pin anything on the people at the market, and it's just like we see there's some problems with the Nevermore society there.
Yes. Yeah.
But shall we finish with any predictions that we have for the third book? Has anybody read the third book here already, or
No, not yet. I'm going to read it.
Let's
for the
start at
next
chapter
one.
1.
I need to get it first.
Predictions.
Well, I am never one for predictions.
No.
So
I'm always just like, I'll just start a book and see what happens.
mm-hmm. I'm excited to see, because the first and the second book both have very clear kind of concepts. You know, the first book, we are introduced to the hotel in Nevermore, and we have these trials. And then in the second book, it's very clearly we're now introduced to this academy, and we have, you know, the exams and everything that they need to get through. So I'm wondering if the third book is going to have such a clear concept as well. Maybe it's just going to be like the Arcane Academy that we're going to go into. Maybe.
I haven't even read like the synopsis or anything, or the
There
plot.
is like
No, me neither.
a plot of like, it's kind of like a virus thing.
Oh
Also
no,
going on.
I was
lovely.
gonna ask if it was a plague book.
Yeah, it is a plague book. So like,
Why?
if you, I personally am just not really into that right now. But we're
Yeah.
gonna for the Wunderlong. But I feel like maybe because it's middle grade, I can handle it a little bit better, and it's not like a full-on dystopian. So yeah, it is like a plague story. But besides that, I have zero expectations. I hope to see the school setting more and like learn more about that, and hopefully more Fenestra and Jupiter North, please.
Yes, please. We
Yes.
have assurance that Hollowpox was great,
Great.
and it was Elena's favorite, so
Nice.
positive
Okay.
5. Perhaps because Morgan's history was demonized to Curse Charles, he has more compassion to. I definitely feel like that's something that they're introducing, because she seems like she not admires, but she has some feelings for Ezra Skull that aren't all bad. I mean, he's the first one who actually tried to educate her, so.
And he did kind of save her from dying, from not using her power, which none of these adults told her.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that would be great.
That would be great.
Yeah.
And I definitely want more.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Fenestra should have
Especially with the
Star
Magnificat
in Hollowpox.
storyline.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sorry, Olivia. What did you say? I couldn't hear you because I was hearing myself.
I was saying that it happens all the time on live shows like the double talking. I was going to say that with Fenestra, the Magnificat going missing, we could have had more of Ben, possibly.
Yes.
And they still haven't found the cub. I was really upset about
Yeah, they
that.
haven't.
Oh.
Wait, didn't they found that at like the? Wait, she released it, right?
Yeah, but then the cub got away, and Morgan's kind of like, all right, well, there's nothing else I can do. And I'm like,
Okay.
Oh. Maybe
I already forgot about that.
But yes,
Oh, I said maybe we will see the cub again in the next book.
maybe.
Never know, it might show up.
Yeah.
well, I think that's it. Thank you so much to all of you for joining with the Wundersmith live show and discussing. Do you have anything you want to shout out before we close? Anything you guys are up to, or?
Not really. Go check out my channel if you want.
I'm one of the co-hosts for the Pastic Classics live show. So if you guys are interested in like classic novels, we always have a good time there. Some of them we love, some of them we rip to pieces. It's a good time.
Sorry, you go.
No, I don't really have anything specifically coming up.
I'm hosting a 24-hour readathon next week, so if you want to read some, motivated to read a bit more, next week.
I might need that.
Leonie needs to shout out her latest reading vlog because I'm currently watching it and it's inspired by Brit's.
Oh yeah!
Oh yeah!
Oh, I love that. I still need to watch it.
Leonie a shout out for that. Like, go watch her new vlog. And I will hopefully be uploading my February wrap up tomorrow, but I have to like edit it as a whole tomorrow. So this week has been intense. So we shall see how that goes.
I don't even have my best books of 2020 up yet, so you're fine.
You're still planning to?
Yes.
Okay.
I can't wait to see that one.
Well, thank you. Hopefully it'll be worth the wait.
It will be. It will be. And then for me, I mean, for us, me and Sabine, the next live show for Wonderlong is, of course, on Holobox. And we'll have the guest Gavin from How to Train Your Gavin and Jade from Jaded Reader. So stay tuned, keep reading. It'll probably be the first weekend or second weekend of the next month. We'll bring you details when we know. And yeah, that's it.
It's so
Thank you for joining.
lovely. Thank you for having us. Bye.
Bye.